We often assume that maturity comes with age, that once a woman crosses a certain line, adulthood, a job, a relationship, a few milestones, she's psychologically whole. But Carl Jung warned us, psychological maturity has nothing to do with age. You can be 35, 45, even 60, and still feel like you're waiting for permission to truly grow up, still chasing fantasy, approval, safety, when what you really need is to face yourself. But how does this happen? And more importantly, how do you break the cycle? Carl Jung didn't shame immaturity. He studied it. He saw it not as failure, but as arrested development, a sign that someone, somewhere along the line, was never given the tools or the permission to evolve. And for many women, this experience is common. From an early age, they're taught to be good, to be agreeable, to be nurturing, gentle, likable, to support others, but rarely to confront themselves. They learn how to look mature, but not how to feel whole. They're told to be emotionally in control, but not too assertive. Be attractive, but not intimidating. Be smart, but never more ambitious than the men around them. This social conditioning creates a surface-level maturity, a persona, as Jung called it, a mask designed to meet expectations, not inner truth. Beneath that mask often lives a self, still yearning for guidance, still afraid of making bold decisions, still tied to fantasy, dependency, or fear of judgment. Still young. This is where immaturity hides, not in visible failure, but in the unseen avoidance of growth. Carl Jung gave a name to the female version of Peter Pan. While many are familiar with the Puella Eterna, the eternal boy who resists adulthood, Jung also spoke of the Puella Eterna, the eternal girl. But this archetype isn't just about childishness or immaturity. It's something much deeper. The Puella is the woman who clings to youth, not in appearance, but in psychological structure. She fears responsibility. She avoids discomfort. She searches for a savior. And she holds tightly to romantic ideals, believing that one day something or someone will come and fix her life. On the surface, she may appear charming, free-spirited, magnetic, even desirable. But under the surface, she often feels lost, anxious, unsure of herself, and quietly terrified of growing up. The eternal girl doesn't want to confront the difficult truths of life, that no one is coming to save her, that love isn't meant to complete her but to challenge her, that adulthood isn't a death sentence, it's an awakening. She avoids these truths by staying in the safety of emotional adolescence, often unconsciously. She's not lazy, she's not broken. She simply hasn't been shown how to navigate the painful initiation into psychological womanhood. And in a culture that celebrates eternal girlhood, where women are rewarded for staying cute, agreeable, and youthful, the Puella finds protection in a world that quietly punishes female power, assertiveness, and independence. But Jung warned, what is not faced becomes fate, and the longer the Puella hides from herself, the more life will reflect her inner immaturity. Through painful relationships, emotional instability, or chronic dissatisfaction. It's not cruelty. It's a call. And sooner or later, every eternal girl must answer it. The eternal girl rarely announces herself. She doesn't always wear pink or live in fantasy. Sometimes she's disguised behind a serious job, a confident smile, even a polished lifestyle. But underneath, her emotional foundation is fragile. In relationships, she may fall in love with potential, not reality. Cling to the idea that the right partner will bring direction and meaning to her life. Feel incomplete without romantic validation, fearing abandonment or rejection more than solitude itself. Often, her relationships follow a painful pattern, seeking someone to complete her and resenting them when they can't. In her career, she may avoid responsibility altogether, bouncing between jobs, passions, or projects. Or she might be professionally competent, but emotionally paralyzed when it comes to long-term planning, financial independence, or leadership. She may secretly long for someone to guide her, rescue her, or just tell her what to do. And in her self-image, she often confuses worth with attractiveness. Aging becomes a threat, not because of vanity, but because she built her identity on youth, charm, and being desirable. She is terrified of being seen as too much, too loud, too angry, too ambitious, so she stays small, playful, harmless. But inside, a storm brews, because the longer she avoids her own depth, the more disconnected she feels. This is the quiet crisis of the Puella, a life that looks light on the outside, but feels hollow within. Here's the truth most people never say. Female immaturity is often rewarded by society. From early childhood, girls are praised for being sweet, gentle, obedient. They're discouraged from being assertive, intense, angry, or too ambitious. While boys are allowed to be wild, women are told to be manageable. This early conditioning sends a dangerous message. Be pleasing or be punished. Be wanted or be alone. So what does a girl do? She learns to adapt, to suppress her shadow, the messy, complex, powerful parts of herself, and replace it with a persona that society rewards: cute, nice, agreeable. Over time, that mask becomes her identity, and the inner self, the one with real potential, is pushed into the unconscious, undeveloped and unknown. Jung would say, she has not yet individuated. She has not yet begun the journey toward becoming her whole self. And that's not because she's incapable. It's because she was never shown the map. But now, she can be. In Jungian psychology, the shadow is the part of ourselves we repress, the traits we believe are wrong, dangerous, or unacceptable. For many women, the shadow includes assertiveness, power, anger, sexual agency, independence, and even ambition. Why? Because these traits challenge the social narrative of what a woman should be. So instead of embracing them, many women hide them. They tone themselves down. They stay dependent. They choose softness over sovereignty, not out of weakness, but out of survival. But here's what Carl Jung believed. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. In other words, if a woman doesn't face her shadow, her life will continue to reflect her avoidance. But when she reclaims those rejected parts of herself, she begins to awaken. She stops fearing her power. She stops apologizing for her boundaries. She stops needing to be saved and starts saving herself. That is the beginning of transformation. called the journey to self-actualization, individuation, the lifelong process of integrating all parts of the psyche to become a complete, authentic self. For the Puella Eterna, and for any woman still stuck in emotional adolescence, this is the key to freedom. It starts with radical self-honesty. She must begin to see where she avoids responsibility, where she self-sabotages, where she clings to fantasy, where she fears her own strength, and from there, the work begins. She learns to make decisions without needing approval, accept discomfort as a sign of growth, set boundaries that protect her energy, build a life rooted in self-trust, not validation. She stops playing the role of the eternal girl and starts becoming the sovereign woman, emotionally independent, spiritually grounded, and whole. This isn't about becoming less feminine. It's about becoming fully human, unfragmented, conscious, alive. And the world needs more of her. Let's be clear. Maturity is not about being serious all the time. It's not about giving up fun, softness, or joy. It's about depth. It's about having the strength to hold both light and shadow, to lead your life without waiting for permission, to love without losing yourself, to speak without shrinking, to age without fear. This is what true psychological maturity looks like. And it's not something society will reward right away, because a mature woman cannot be controlled. She doesn't perform for attention. She doesn't mold herself to fit in. She is not easy to sell to, manipulate, or guilt trip. She is rooted, conscious, awake, and that is dangerous to every system built on dependency. But it is everything Jung believed in, because the mature woman is not just free, she is whole. If this journey has resonated, you might recognize parts of the Puella in yourself or someone you love. That's not shameful. It's an invitation to become more than what the world expects you to be, to trade fantasy for reality, performance for purpose, safety for sovereignty. As Carl Jung taught, the path to wholeness is not through perfection. It's through integration. And for the woman ready to grow, to evolve, to meet herself fully, maturity is not the end. It is the beginning of everything.